Welcome to the Kingsford Flivver Flash. I'm Coach Van Duzen. This is Season 20, Episode 20. Sit down with 2000 graduate John Jessen. Well, this is a really special episode for me personally of the Kingsford Flivver Flash. A sit down with Kingsford High School class of 2000 graduate John Jessen. And it's very special because John was one of my teammates here at Kingsford. He was one of my classmates with the class of 2000, and we were also classmates and roommates up at Northern Michigan University for several of our years up there. John stored a lot of my stuff while I was in Iraq, and we have still remained very close friends. John is currently a CTE instructor, which he will tell us all about, at Westwood High School in West Ishpeming, about an hour away here from Kingsford up here in the UP. And I'm just really honored to have him as a friend, and I'm so grateful he could come on today. All right, well, thanks for taking time out of your day and coming on today, John.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you for having me, John.
Absolutely. So tell us a little bit about your background here in Kingsford, just growing up, going to school, football. How did all that play out?
Muted again.
Oh, that's okay.
Yeah, I grew up in Quinnipiac. I started going to Brighting Township schools in kindergarten. So I was pretty much in the school system all the way through. Really enjoyed being part of that district and going to school there. A lot of fond memories and a lot of people that I still hang out with to this day.
Myself included.
Indeed.
So when you played football here, did you play starting in middle school? I don't even know if that was an option. I didn't come here till later, or did you just start in high school?
Could you repeat that, please?
Oh yeah, I said when you played football here, was middle school an option, or did you start in high school? What did that look like?
Well, actually, back then we only had Pop Warner. There wasn't any middle school football at the time. And actually, I did not do any of that. I started with organized football as a freshman, and then just kind of worked from there. Maybe looking back, I might have been able to come into my freshman year a little bit more advanced or more well off athletically by maybe taking part in that Pop Warner, but I guess who's to say? I don't know, because I wasn't a part of that.
Right. And we see even today, we see kids that come in and they're students of the game. So they come in as a freshman and kind of know what's happening. And then we have it the other way too, where, maybe they learned something completely different than what we're doing. So we have to basically unteach them whatever it was they learned and reteach them kind of how we do it in high school. So, yeah. Either way, but you played freshman, JV, and 2 years of varsity. That's
correct.
Okay. Do you remember your coaches for way back then?
Yeah, my freshman football coach was Kevin Murdoch. My JV football coaches were Mr. Millala and I believe Doug Roberts was maybe on that staff as well. And then Scott Kleiman.
Oh, okay.
And then obviously my varsity football coaches were Chris Hofer, Dan Short, Mr. Wilsius, and Doug Roberts had actually come up to the varsity at that point as well.
Yeah, and those names you just mentioned, last year was Coach Murdoch's last year. And it was an absolute privilege to be able to coach with him at the JV level. And I know, 29 years, I learned so much, stuff you can't read on the internet, you can't read in a book, you can't listen to on a podcast, but Kevin was a great mentor to me. And Jim Millala, coming up, this is his last year coaching. So there's going to be a lot of knowledge walking out of that building between Hofer retiring, Kevin Murdoch, and Jim Millala, but a lot of those same names. And Scott's still around. I teach 8th grade with Scott. So that's pretty neat. So tell us what you're doing now. I know a lot about what you're doing and where you were at Northern and whatnot, but tell us what you're doing now at Westwood.
Yeah. Obviously went to Northern Michigan University, got a secondary education degree with emphasis on industrial technology, which is basically a glorified way of saying a shop teacher. I was a coach at Westwood High School for 10 years. Actually, I'll back up a little bit. I student taught at Westwood High School, which is in West Ishpeming, if you don't know where Westwood is, and was able to kind of seamlessly go from a student teaching placement right to a job there as a woodshop teacher. And then I started coaching. I believe I started coaching in 2006. And then I worked as a woodshop teacher and a coach for about 10 years. And then I changed my teaching assignment into what's called Career and Technical Education now, or CTE. I went out and got state certified in building trades and welding. Right now I teach a 2-hour career and tech ed welding block, 2-hour career and tech ed automotive repair block, a 2-hour career and tech ed construction trades block, and I also teach a power sports maintenance class, which basically we fix four-wheelers, dirt bikes, snowmobiles, side-by-sides.
That's awesome.
That kind of thing. That's new. I guess the coaching background, I coached freshman football for a few years, JV football for a few years. I was an assistant on the varsity staff for, 3 or 4 years, and I was actually the varsity head coach for 2 seasons.
Right, and I think you were the JV head coach when your freshman team came to play a team I was coaching in Lance. So a lot of tight-knit community within coaching here in the UP. Where you have the welding and the auto repair and stuff, that sounds like you have your kids doing a lot of hands-on stuff. Is there a lot of classroom involved, or what is that, like the welding class, for instance, what does that look like?
Well, basically the way I operate is I have one common classroom where we begin all of our classes. So basically it's your kind of textbook, chairs out in the front, and a dry erase board, and my desk with my computer is there. And we go over any kind of lecture-based information, basically like a toolbox meeting at the beginning of class where we go over the information for the day. And then we break out of there and we go to one of the 3 different labs. So essentially I have 4 different classrooms that I inhabit in a typical day.
But you meet in that common area for your welding class, your auto repair.
Yeah.
You meet there first and then go to wherever.
Correct. All of the classes begin in the same place. So it alleviates confusion and things like that.
That's awesome. And the building trades class, are you building houses or garages, or what is that? What kind of stuff are you doing there?
We started out building smaller projects, sheds and small garages, things like that. And actually we kept expanding upon it until we actually built a house. We finished that project, I think 2 years ago now. And I guess the whole process of building a house right now is a little bit too in-depth for a 1-block class like I teach. So I had to kind of retool that class, and we actually started a partnership with a business up here called Premium Pole Buildings and Sheds, where we as a high school class are actually working for Premium. It's a great industry to secondary ed connection where they're taking orders for sheds, and our class is actually building that customer's product. So they're building a finished product that is actually sold on the market. So that's been a great partnership. We did that last school year. I think we built 8 sheds, and they were all different sizes, all different configurations as far as, some were steel, some were sided, vinyl sided, some of them were OSB smart siding, we did steel roofs, we did shingled roofs. So the kids
Wow.
got a really wide array of, or not an array of different construction materials and techniques. So.
And I imagine working with that partnership, they get to see a little more than just putting a hammer on a nail. You know, they get to see what the customer wants and dimensions they want and what it's supposed to look like. So that's got to be really great.
Yeah, it adds that industry connection because, you know, we're getting things like change order from the customer where all of a sudden they decide a window is not big enough or too big, or they want to change from a roll-up garage door to an actual garage door. Or, you know, the kids are getting an actual real-world type of view of how a project like that can go when you're dealing with a customer. So yeah, it's a great way to do it.
That's and in my leadership minded head, I see all kinds of things from problem solving to, you know, the interpersonal skills. You can't just be a gorilla on the job site. You've got to be somebody who can talk with the customer, talk with your other coworkers. So that sounds really great. And they're getting all this experience before they even leave high school. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, exactly. You know, one of the things that was kind of neat that we did last year, we ended up with a couple of jobs where we were building a similar building for the same customer, one of which was Upper Peninsula Power Company. We were building 2 identical sheds for them. And what I was able to do is basically split the class into two crews. And they had a crew leader, and it was kind of interesting to watch the 2 sheds get built because, you know, their leadership ability and their teamwork was reflected in not only how well their shed was built, but how fast things went. And it was very easy for me as an instructor to say, well, why is your shed at this point when their shed is at this point? You know, you've all had the same time and the same tools, you know, what's going on here? And they had to do some reflecting and say, well, it's because we're, you know, not using time wisely, or everybody's not pitching in, you know, things like that. It worked out really.
That's awesome. And I know it seems like lately there's been a big push for the industrial arts, the, you know, building trades and welding, like those positions are coming back because a lot of those people that are working them now are getting close to retirement age. So you're training that next group of people that are going to build houses and weld up machines, and that's fantastic.
Yeah, what we're doing right now is exactly like you said. We're trying to train kids in high school to kind of bridge the skills gap. You know, we talk about it as a skills gap because exactly what you had said, we're hitting this huge group of people that is retiring. And, you know, the trades and industry have kind of been happy for years with the people that they had. So they really weren't taking in any new people and training new people. Well, now we're getting this huge gap between the people that have been there for 30 plus years and are extremely skilled and then new people. So I guess it's our job as career and tech ed teachers to try to bridge that gap as fast as possible. So that industry doesn't have a lack of skilled workers.
Right. And the other part my brain just jumped to is if one of your students decides they want to be on the planning end of that and go into being an architect or some kind of planner, they're going to have this experience that's never going to go away. And you know, I think we all know it's much easier to put on the construction hat when you're building the plan as opposed to never having that experience at all. So I see that as extremely valuable for our high schoolers.
Yeah, I mean, and I guess kudos to the state for this. When we first started into this career and tech ed kind of realm, the state had put an out testing, like a post testing criteria for these students as a written kind of ACT-like test, which we all know does not work. And they actually went back, reevaluated that, and they're changing everything to certifications and credentials rather than your score on a on a test. So all of my students that go through any one of my CTE programs are going to come out with some sort of industry recognized certification, whether it be American Welding Society and welding class, or OSHA training for my building trades, in my autos class, to opportunities to take the state automotive tests and things like that right in high school.
That's huge.
So these kids are getting these types of training before they leave. So it's kind of feathers in their cap, if you will.
Absolutely.
For whether they want to go right into the workforce or whether they want to further their training outside of high school.
Absolutely. And I look at it, if, let's say a student comes out with a welding certificate, I feel like they would be, like you said, a feather in their cap if they wanted to go into plumbing or go into something else. They've already proven that they can do a skill and do it successfully. So I think that would be, a 2 + 2 = 5 kind of equation for them.
Yeah, correct. And every kid in my program finishes the year with an OSHA 10 card, whether it's in welding, whether it's in automotive, or whether it's in building trades. That student, as part of our safety protocol for the year, does an online OSHA 10 module that then grants them an OSHA 10 card. So like you say, if they go for a job in any really industrial situation, that OSHA 10 card is a good, provider of safety knowledge and training for that student, so that employer knows that they have a quality person coming in.
Absolutely. That's awesome. Well, thank you for that. And this is a Flivver flashback, so we are going to flash back to the old football days. And go ahead and tell us a favorite memory, something that really sticks out in your mind from, dare I say, 20 years ago. Ouch. Are we that old, Johnny?
Yeah, I know. I guess one of the best moments for me, or one of the most proud moments, I think, and you'll remember this, I'm sure, was the Marquette game that we played in the Dome.
Yep.
For those of us that have been Flivvers our whole lives, Marquette is not somebody you look at as a powerhouse. Maybe more now in recent time than maybe when we played football. But that was a game that we came out in, and we did not do a very good job in the first half. We kind of let Marquette run amok on us.
Right.
And we buckled down, and we came back, and we actually won that game. And even though it was a game that we should have won by a lot probably in the first quarter, it was a game that I believe taught us a lot as young men. And I guess it was a game that we were just more proud of because we worked hard to come back,
Yeah, the one thing I remember about that is they were on about our 25 with just a few seconds to go. And they put in a field goal team. If they kick the field goal, they win. I think it was 21-20. Is that?
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
And I remember I wasn't on field goal block, so I was off on the sideline. And I remember I took a knee, and I just put my head down because I'm exhausted. And I remember thinking to myself, when I hear the kick, I'm either going to hear this side of the dome go crazy, or I'm going to hear this side, and then I'll know. And I heard our side go up, and that was a really great memory for me too. So lots of funny stuff happens. Remember, this is a family show, but tell us something funny that happened throughout your years of football. It could be at practice, could be at a game, locker room, something funny that you remember.
I guess not so much funny, but something that we look forward to every week was during our pregame warm-up when Dwayne Tershel would intercept the pass and run it back and do an end zone dance for everybody. That was something that we all thought was special, and we look forward to it every week. So I guess I'm going to use that as my moment for that.
That is, and having Tersh on the sideline is, it's always a good time, and he's always pumping up the crowd and wearing his crazy pants and whatnot. So
yeah, for sure.
anybody who's been around Flivver football for like the last 30 years knows Tersh. So this is a really weird season coming up. You know, we haven't been able to have kids in the weight room like we would like. We haven't been able to do outside workouts like we've liked. We're starting to do some of that stuff now, and as this publishes, hopefully we're further along in that. But what's some advice you would give to either seniors who are going into their last year of football, or maybe those freshmen who are coming in, they've never played football before, they get a chance to be on a Flivver team, which in the UP is a pretty big deal in the football realm. So what's some advice you'd have for those players just coming in?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I guess with respect to the current, COVID-19 pandemic and all that stuff, is to just remember that everybody's in it together. You're not able to train and things like that right now, but neither is anybody else. So, as things get lifted and, you're able to come together and work out, everybody else that you're going to be playing is on the same page. So I guess don't get discouraged with that. I guess for the young kids coming up, you have an opportunity to be part of something that your local area values a lot. And it's going to be a fantastic way for you to learn, skills that last a lifetime, whether they're life skills, coping with ups and downs, things like that. It's invaluable to gain those skills by being part of something like that.
Yeah, that's, I always say we teach a lot more than just blocking and tackling. And whether that's how to be a leader on and off the field, whether that's how to work really hard for something and still not get it.
Right.
Fighting that adversity, how to get along with other people. There's a ton of that stuff.
Yeah, and I guess I didn't really know as a young man leaving the Kingsford area and being part of Kingsford football, how important that community is, and the football culture that's down there. I think as a young guy, I took it for granted maybe. It took, and I know you could probably speak to this as being part of Lawrence football for many years. It took me going to West Ishpeming in Westwood, who in 2006, as I mentioned, when I started there, was not an area that was a football area or had any type of football climate, really. The coach at the time was really working really hard and doing a good job of trying to, start that culture. But it was, an area more well known for basketball than football. And that was a huge culture shock to me. When I would try to have Air Force football on Fridays and things like that, nobody was interested. Nobody wanted to be a part of it. And those were things that we worked hard on and continue to work hard on at Westwood, is to try to just build that football culture. So I would say, again, to young people, you don't have any idea really right now how big of an opportunity it is to be part of something that people really value and hold special to themselves, So I guess, realize what you're coming into and be grateful about it.
Yeah, that's a great point. And, culture shock for me too. I value my time at Lawrence and I cherish that time, and it was fantastic. And I like to think I left it better than when I got there, but their football culture, it's different. You come to a Friday night here at Kingsford, and I remember like the Iron Mountain Kingsford games, you're going to have 5,000 to 10,000 people here for a high school football game. And I know when I left here, student teaching and coaching at other places, it's not everywhere is like that. And I look at even our weight room, and it's like, well, doesn't everybody have a weight room like this? And when you're a young man, you're right. You don't know what you have. but you go to these other places and you reflect and you're very grateful for what we have at Kingsford. So, well, gee whiz, John, it's been awesome. Always enjoy talking to you, and want to wish you the best. Hopefully this school year goes all right. And thanks again for coming on.
Yeah, no problem, John. Thanks for having me, and I hope to talk to you again soon.
And that was Kingsford High School class of 2000 graduate John Jessen, currently a teacher at Westwood High School in West Ishpeming, doing a lot of great things with the kids there. If this is your first time listening or your first time watching on YouTube, we ask that you subscribe, like, and share with your friends. Leave us a review so other people can find the Kingsford Flivver Flash. And you can follow us on all other types of social media. We have Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. All of those links are down in the show notes. And we're pretty good on Google. If you just Google up Kingsford Flivver Football, you will find us. So that will do it. And until next time, this is Coach Van Dusen. Invest in tomorrow by owning today.